Zelensky praises massive drone strike on Russian airbases as a brilliant operation. On Sunday, June 1, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky hailed a large-scale drone strike targeting Russian military airfields as a strategic and well-executed blow to Russia's war machine. In his nightly video address to the Ukrainian people, Zelensky described the mission as a brilliant operation, highlighting both the precision of the strike and the long-term planning behind it. This was a brilliant operation, carried out on enemy territory and focused solely on military objectives, the president said, clearly distinguishing the strike as a lawful and deliberate act of wartime defense. According to Zelensky, the mission had been in development for over 18 months, involving extensive planning by Ukraine's intelligence, defense, and aerospace teams. The scale of the attack was notable. 117 drones were launched in a synchronized assault on several Russian airbases. While Zelensky did not specify the exact locations of the targets, military analysts believe the drones struck deep into Russian territory, possibly aiming at airfields housing long-range bombers and strategic aircraft used in attacks against Ukraine. Russia has suffered very tangible losses, and deservedly so, Zelensky remarked. His comments implied that the drone strike was not only a military success but a moral counterpunch in response to Russia's ongoing missile and drone attacks on Ukrainian cities and civilian infrastructure. Though no official data on Russian casualties or equipment losses has been independently verified, sources close to Ukrainian defense operations suggest that multiple aircraft, fuel storage sites, and air defense assets may have been damaged or destroyed. Military experts have interpreted the scale and execution of the drone attack as evidence of Ukraine's growing sophistication in unmanned aerial warfare. The operation demonstrated Ukraine's ability to coordinate long-range drone missions across hostile airspace, a capability that had previously been limited by technological and logistical constraints. The timing of the strike also carried political weight. It occurred just ahead of scheduled peace-related discussions in Istanbul, where international actors are expected to renew efforts to de-escalate the conflict. By launching such a high-profile operation, Kyiv appears to be sending a clear message: it will not enter negotiations from a position of weakness. In closing his address, Zelensky reinforced the moral and strategic resolve of Ukraine's military. This operation is a clear signal that Ukraine can and will hold the aggressor accountable, on the battlefield and beyond. Kyiv applauds daring drone strike on Russian strategic bombers as war escalates ahead of Istanbul talks. On Sunday, June 1, residents of Kyiv reacted with pride and admiration to Ukraine's unprecedented long-range drone strike that targeted Russian military airfields deep inside Siberia, including bases that house nuclear-capable long-range bombers. The strike marks the farthest Ukrainian attack from the front lines since the full-scale war began, hitting a location more than 4,300 kilometers, 2,670 miles, from Ukrainian-controlled territory. According to Ukrainian intelligence sources, the operation involved sophisticated subterfuge and logistics. Drones packed with explosives were reportedly concealed inside the rooftops of wooden structures and covertly transported across Russian territory. These disguised payloads were loaded onto trucks and driven to the edges of Russian air bases before being deployed in a coordinated surprise attack. The operation was highly effective, according to a senior Ukrainian intelligence official, who told media that 41 Russian aircraft, believed to be strategic warplanes capable of carrying nuclear or long-range conventional payloads, were damaged or destroyed. The targeted aircraft include models known to participate in missile strikes on Ukrainian cities and infrastructure. This is an enormous, humiliating blow for Russia, said Ukrainian political analyst Pavlo Fizenko in comments to Reuters. He emphasized not just the tactical success of the operation, but its psychological and symbolic impact. It shows Russia is not untouchable, even in its most remote, guarded military zones. The Russian Defense Ministry confirmed that Ukraine had launched a series of drone strikes across 5 different regions of the Russian Federation: Murmansk, Irkutsk, Ivanovo, Ryazan, and Amur, all of which host military aviation infrastructure. While the ministry claimed most of the assaults were intercepted by air defenses, it acknowledged that strikes in Murmansk and Irkutsk succeeded in breaching their defenses, causing several aircraft to catch fire. The Irkutsk strike, in particular, stood out. It represents the first Ukrainian drone assault of this scale and range, targeting bases thousands of kilometers behind the front lines, in a region previously considered safe from Ukrainian reach. Military analysts say the attack reflects not only improved drone range and coordination by Ukraine, but also a bold new phase in the conflict, bringing the war to the heart of Russia's military-industrial system. Meanwhile, Russia sharply escalated its own operations overnight, launching 472 Shahed-type drones against Ukrainian targets in what is now the largest single wave of drone attacks recorded in the war so far. According to the Ukrainian Air Force, Russia also launched 7 missiles. This flurry of strikes underscores a broader intensification of hostilities just as both sides prepare for a new round of direct peace talks. Despite speculation that Ukraine might not attend, President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed that Defense Minister Rustem Umerov will represent Ukraine in the second round of negotiations with Russia, scheduled to take place in Istanbul on Monday, June 2. The first round, held more than a week earlier, produced a breakthrough in the form of a significant prisoner exchange but failed to yield progress on a ceasefire or lasting settlement. On the streets of Kyiv, public sentiment was cautiously defiant. Many citizens expressed support for the drone strikes and called them a necessary move to counter Russia's sustained aggression. Some voiced hope that by demonstrating its ability to strike far into Russian territory, Ukraine could enter the talks in Istanbul with greater leverage. However, there was also a sense of unease. Several Kyiv residents acknowledged the likelihood of Russian retaliation, particularly targeting civilian infrastructure in Ukraine. "We hit them where it hurts," said one Kyiv local, "and they won't take it lightly." But it had to be done. As both sides intensify their military campaigns, the question remains whether the peace talks in Istanbul will lead to de-escalation, or simply mark another chapter in a war growing ever more complex, dangerous, and far-reaching.